What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob, and in today's video, we're gonna do a recap of the last week or so. I posted my highlights yesterday, but right off the jump this morning, I'm still on European time, so my clock's a little wonky. So I'm up early, getting after it, and figure I'd just do a video now. Little recap of the last week with Daniel Jones, what I think about the Giants moving forward, the Cowboys game upcoming, and then give my take on a couple things. But let's get started. And the first things first, the Giants released Daniel Jones after demoting him to fourth string, so he was behind. They elevated Tommy Devito to starter. They put Drew Lock in second string, who remains second string. I'll get to that in a minute. And then practice squad Tim Boyle, let's be honest, is one of the worst quarterbacks in maybe the history of the NFL. So to put Daniel Jones all the way behind him was kind of an ultimate slap in the face. So then after at practice that day, there were the reports that Daniel Jones was playing scout team free safety, which is, I guess, what the third and fourth string quarterbacks would be doing anyway. And then after that practice, he went to John Mara in the front office and asked for him to be released. And they granted him that release. So I think first things first, this is just how it shakes out, whether you like it or not. He had to be benched. We spoke about that in videos for quite some time now. He just never could develop into the quarterback that they drafted him to be when they drafted him at 6 overall. And it was a multitude of things. He had different coaches, different GMs. I'm not making excuses for the guy because at the end of the day, they gave him a $160 million contract. He didn't see every dime of that $160 million, but he also didn't play worthy of that as well. And here's the biggest thing with this, guys. If Daniel Jones did play well or even mediocre and they were able to get wins and he was able to make other people better, they probably wouldn't have benched him at this point. They probably would have at least let him, like, say if they were 500, they probably would have let him just play through the season and then release him in the offseason. But things had just gotten so bad that the major thing was the injury clause in his contract that if he could not pass a physical next March and couldn't play or whatever, the Giants would be on the hook for paying him the rest of the contract, or like $18 million, and then it would be a $23 million dead cap spot against the Giants. So in actuality, benching Jones is a move to help move the franchise forward. And it just was the way it shook out. He was just here for so long. They were never able to figure it out. Multiple coaches, multiple GMs. And it's just one of those things that, he does seem, even in his closing speech or whatever, his press conference, like, he never said the wrong thing at any point of his career. And he could have. He could have thrown guys under the bus. Malik Nabers has played, 5 or 6 games for the Giants, and he's talking shit to the media after every single game. Daniel Jones never did that once. And I think that's why the Giants really liked him originally, was that he was cut from a similar cloth of Eli, in that regard of, I guess, stoicism or whatever word you're looking for there. So yeah, we wish him well. We wish Daniel Jones the best. I think he could be a good fit somewhere else. One of my buddies is a Dolphins fan, and I've told him, I would have traded something for Daniel Jones instead of you guys rocking with Skylar Thompson or whoever played quarterback for you guys, because Daniel Jones can throw some of these more elite wide receivers the ball 4 to 6 yard pass, and they could do a lot more with it than Slayton, Wandale, or other people. But here lies the Daniel Jones experiment, ended in 2024. And yeah, I think an interesting part of this is that they go right to Tommy DeVito, who looked, I guess, pretty bad and got his ass kicked in the Bucs game. So I don't think you'll be seeing his annoying agent and doing the blah, 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 how you doing celebration. I think that ship has officially sailed, as Giants fans, I think, will turn on him if he starts winning games, because we are in the midst of a tankathon. This is how the tank looks. It's not pretty. I want to touch on that a little bit later on, but I do want to talk about the quarterback situation too. DeVito, as you can see, guys, he's not an NFL quarterback. I mean, and I guess I can give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit because he's been chilling for the last 12 weeks. So to step right in, play the Bucs, even though they are 4-6, they have a lot of good weapons and they're underperforming. But that was one thing I said at the end of my last video, was how different there's 2 wins between the Giants and the Bucs. But how different do those teams look when they play in actuality? Like, the Bucs actually look like a competent team that is I don't want to say playing a different sport, but they're just used so much better. They make their guys better. Their offense is better. Their defense is better. Their special teams player. And the Giants just look terrible. And when there's that gap in 2 wins, it makes me think of like what had happened from last year to this year, because last year I thought was the lowest of the low. The offensive line gave up historical number of sacks. They kind of put a Band-Aid on it or fixed it a little bit this year. You had Thomas go down again, miss his second straight year of significant time, but I feel like this year looks so much worse, even though you didn't pay Saquon and McKinney went. If the Giants had Saquon and McKinney, would they be 2-9 now? And then how could Joe Shane justify not paying them? I mean, it's all retrospect, and we're playing Monday morning quarterback here, but that's what New York sports media does. That's what we do as fans. So just kind of spitballing out loud. But back to my point about quarterbacks. So Devito clearly won't, I don't think should, do enough to win too many games and shouldn't be on the team next year. And then you brought in two interesting guys that combined for a cap of maybe like $10 or $11 million between Drew Lock, who is quarterback too, and when the media interviewed him after that, after Cutlets was made the starter, and Drew Lock was kind of like, yeah, I don't know, I came to be the backup for Daniel, and then eventually have a chance and that's how it was explained to me. And then it's funny because he's still QB2, but he's a $5 million quarterback too. So was Daboll just not comfortable with what Drew Lock might do if he got in the games and started winning at this point, and could cost the Giants a chance to actually get a quarterback of the future like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, or maybe even a shot at Hunter, the best like wide receiver cornerback guy, so from Colorado. So maybe that was a part of the consideration there. Maybe Daboll said, let's just go with Cutlets, and maybe John Mara even said that as well. He had a fun time last year. The fans enjoyed it. But I think it's a very different time and situation this time around that it'll change on you quickly. I gotta turn this ring light camera down. It's freaking destroying my eyes, and the sun's not up because it's 6:40 in the morning. But my point of that is taking Drew Lock and Devin Singletary, who is also like a $5 or $6 million guy. If you combine those two and then got rid of someone else or adjusted someone else, you probably could have brought Saquon back. So it really goes back to the hard knocks and just how incompetent the Giants were from the top down. I think they said that they would never do it again right after it happened. But I think even more so now, when there's all this video evidence of them looking incompetent at the highest levels of incompetency, from the top down, from letting Saquon walk. I don't even think, did they really even talk about McKinney too much, besides that they would need to fix the secondary situation, but offensive line was the main priority because it ruined every single game last year. I kind of get it a little bit, and the Giants historically don't pay safeties. But it looks way worse right now when McKinney is absolutely balling as one of the top safeties in the league, and the league's leading 7th interception, when I don't think the Giants secondary has maybe one. I might be wrong on that. They might have one, but it's really ridiculous that no one else was able to step up and do anything this year. And here's the thing, guys. A lot of people on this team have been afforded a lot of reps in games, in practice, in situations to make plays, and they haven't. And I think that is one of the most concerning things. And I'm not just talking about the secondary. I'm talking about pretty much everyone besides Dexter Lawrence at this point. I'm not really impressed with really too many people on this team. Can everything change if you get a good quarterback or a great leader to come into this room? Because I think this team severely lacks a leader besides Dexter Lawrence, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Not to say Daniel Jones is a rah-rah guy. Eli Manning wasn't either. But there's just no leader on this team that you could point to, and I think that's a major issue. Do you find a leader in a rookie who could come in? But again, rookies that come in and you watch them grow in front of your eyes game after game provides something more of hope than leadership, and through that hope, leadership can grow. So you've seen that for guys like Jaden Daniels. Even we'll give Bo Nix some credit here too. That's what I have to say about that. And yeah, moving on and to the Tankathon point that I mentioned earlier, as fans, we always talk about teams tanking in our respective sports. And in football, tanking looks such a different way than in many other sports for a few reasons. Reason number one being it's a very physical game. If you aren't playing your hardest or if you're taking plays off, you can take plays off by trying not to tackle. We've seen Deontay Banks do that several weeks, several games um, to preserve your lifespan in the NFL, which is short for not for long. But a lot of that gets put on tape. And when you're being evaluated after each game, you have to sit and watch film. Coaches are kind of going to rip into these business decisions because players are a reflection of the coach, and coaches need jobs for their livelihood. So if they swing the axe because the secondaries coach, because Deontay Banks doesn't want to loaf and not make tackles, that secondary coach in that meeting has his family to feed. He's going to scream at Banks. And that could either tune him out further or, make it for a bad situation. But I would probably be on the part of yelling because I want to show that I'm passionate and I want to have a job in this league. So it's hard to not play to your strongest physical ability because the physical side of things, if you don't try hard, you're going to get hurt. And the second part is, again, what I just mentioned there. A lot of it is on tape. Say if this is maybe your third or fourth season in the NFL, you need to, if you're actually going to get time, even if it's on a 2-9 team, you have to play well because it's on tape and it's your audition for where you want to go, possibly in other leagues. Otherwise, you're going to join the rest of us, not in the NFL. So that's why these guys try so hard, and it is so hard to tank. Now, having said that, it seems like this is how tanking looks when it actually is happening in real time. I think the most criminal example of that was when I'm blanking on the Eagles coach who won the Super Bowl. It might have been Marone, and now he's the Jaguars coach. I just let me know if I'm wrong. It's 6:45 in the morning, and I'm just ranting here. But when there was one game against the Giants, when the Giants, remember when the NFC East was terrible and everyone had a chance to get in the playoffs at like 6 and whatever, and the coach, or Peterson, it's just Peterson. I knew I knew it was coming to me. He benched Jalen Hurts and went with someone else in the final season against the Giants to lose. And that was an example of tanking, but it also cost him his job. Zach Taylor with the Bengals when they tanked and got Burrow, then Jamar Chase in back-to-back drafts. Some of those fans thought that they were tanking too, but again, he survived that. I think 90% of coaches that tank are on the unemployment line. And things are going to get worse. There's still 6 more games this season. And let's not forget that Brian Daboll took the reins from Mike Kafka this offseason for calling the plays. The result has been, quarterback or not, now you're on your second quarterback, and you let it get to that point, is you have a historically bad offense in terms of scoring points and points, yards per game, and any little metric you want to look at there, it looks bad. Yeah, this is how a tank looks, you guys. It's not pretty. I would assume many people are tuning out of games at this point. And I think the Giants have a couple home games left too, which is a little bit crazy. I wouldn't expect there to be any Giants fans really at these games. It's a good opportunity, like I've said many times on this channel, for opposing fans to go have a great time. You tailgate, you're high-fiving, tickets are cheap because you're getting them off sad Giants fans that are selling them for pennies on the dollar. And I think that's a larger issue that we've seen between both New York sports franchises over the last 2 years. There's been, or 12 years rather, sorry. There's been one playoff win in MetLife Stadium over 12 years between two teams. 2 of these teams are valued as one of the top 5, within the top 5 franchises from a, revenue standpoint. So these teams have both been so bad. I don't know where it changes. I don't know if it's a New York thing where guys just don't want to come here and play anymore or what, or be successful, because both teams are constantly taking step backs and the low isn't officially hitting the low. I think it's going to get dark over these next 6 weeks. I'm going to be here with it for you guys to cover it because at the end of the day, I love this team. I don't really hate watch and want guys to either get injured, I think, or whatever. Like, I think that shit's a little weird. And at the end of the day, if the Giants win a game, and you might tell me I'm an idiot, but like, I'm so sick of losing that anytime we win, I'm happy. Maybe that's just like something in my mind. But at this point, I think the Giants are going to try and do everything in their favor to prevent that from happening. And then it comes down to what's next. Say if the Giants lose every single game the rest of the season and are 2-13, which could be a possibility here. Do you guys want Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen back to make decisions and picks? Because right now, it seems like the Giants, if we talk about Joe Schoen for a moment, he hasn't done. Is it a pick thing? Because these guys come and they don't look good, and then they leave and go to other teams. And for examples like Saquon, McKinney, those are recent ones. But if you go past that and longer, maybe it's a Giants thing where like Eric Flowers had a little bit of success playing guard other places. B.J. Hill, the Giants let walk, looks, he's been perennially good for the Bengals. Julian Love, after he walked from the Giants, was a Pro Bowler the next season, and he was never that caliber on the team. So is it a coaching thing? Is it just there's too much distractions in New York, and the fans and the media are constantly wanting to be negative and just move on from things and instead of trying to give it time and make it work? I mean, the Daniel Jones thing is different from that comment, but because he had every opportunity to make it work, and people would argue it was too much. So, and no one will ever have that opportunity again, if I'm completely honest with you, to be like 1-15, 16 in prime time. So my point is there, do we trust Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll to turn it around? Because at this point, something else that would happen is, if they draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, next season starts off again. You throw a young rookie quarterback into the fire with a team that, let's be honest, still isn't that good. And they don't look that good, and their confidence gets crushed. And the Giants are, I don't know, what would be a better increase in wins? If they got to 6 wins next year after 2, yeah, that's definitely better, but still not enough. And then are you still saying that this is the guy to get it done? I don't know. Maybe some of these guys come in and give hope and look better. Look at the Commanders, or one player could come in. And if you have a good team, it really is a connecting piece. Look at the Eagles. I just don't know if that's the case here. And let me know what you guys think on that, because I'm really in the middle of liking them or not. Right now, I really don't like them, to be honest with you. But I just don't know next year if they draft a guy and it starts off bad. What happens if they get fired after like 7 games? Then it's like, why don't we just do that this year and then find someone allow someone to come in fresh and get the quarterback that they want and train them up? They're both on the same schedule. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna skip Reddit mailbag this week. Maybe I'll do it later in the week. But yeah, that was a rant. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm not really. What's there to really say about Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito on Thanksgiving? I just hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the game with your family and friends and loved ones, because at the end of the day, they'll be the ones with you always watching Giants games, good, bad, and ugly. Hopefully, we're in the ugly part and we could put it behind us this year, maybe get back to bad and eventually good somewhere down the line. But anyway, thank you guys for watching.